tremendous amount of work, and therefore I had invited them today to have this conversation with them, because there's a lot still going on and a lot can be done, but how do we do it? A lot of people are wondering, I really want to do a lot of things, but I don't know how. And here are people who have been doing amazing work. So we just want to get an idea of what's up with them, what they have been doing, and how do we replicate it other places. India is too big, and if all of us try to do make some effort and do something about it, maybe we can make some effort towards from our end. So Raj Mohan ji has been a founder at Sustainable Green Initiative. He also worked at Al Gore's Climate Reality. He is constantly working towards ending hunger and connecting and networking, so that more and more people come together and work towards these objectives. Samina has been a founder CEO at Right Walk Foundation. She is an Ashoka Fellow. She is also an Acumen Fellow, and she's like a force of nature right now, and she has been doing tremendous amount of work again. So Raj ji, I will start with Raj ji. I have certain, if that's okay with yeah.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, okay. So Raj ji, can you come on? Yeah, nice to have you on screen. Thank you so much for having your videos on. So Raj ji, my first question to you is what has been your experience with regard to this crisis, and you know how would you explain? I'll just leave it as an open-ended question to you.
Uh, uh, yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, yeah. Hi. It says work that she and the team tried
Your voice is breaking a bit.
been doing.
Hello, Rajji. I think your voice is breaking a lot.
So,
Hello. Yeah, we have not been able to hear from you because your voice is breaking a lot. Can you?
Trying to I told you my network in there.
Yeah, we can try. Yeah.
Maybe he can try turning off video. That would be taking a lot of bandwidth. So probably can try without video.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be.
Okay. Okay. See
So if you can just turn off the video.
I turned.
Yeah, right.
Yes, the video is on.
Yeah, great. Now we can hear clearly.
Is
Yeah.
it better?
Yes. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
I had asked whether Samina is here or is Samina here or has she gone? Okay.
No, she is here.
Okay. So what I was saying is that Samina is during this incredibly difficult month of fasting in the
right.
She has been doing some amazingly incredible work. Yesterday she got a busload of people, migrants who were trying to find a way walking home. She found a bus, and
right.
after that she's also found a way to get more of these buses. And
right. So Raji, we will be asking these questions from her. So there are questions. Yes, of course, we'll go back to her and then ask questions.
Yes.
So my question to you was that what has been your experience in these times of crisis, these extraordinary times, and how you have been able to deal with it and support the whole cause?
All right. Yeah. You see, I work in an absolutely different field. I work as a tree planter. I work with small farming communities across India, trying to get them to plant fruit trees in a part of their land so they can create sustainable fight climate. But when coronavirus struck, just few days, we sitting and thinking, what can we do? Okay, let's try to get
Right.
local migrants out here. Then working on trying to get the construction site of the Char Dham, the Dukram Yatra road.
Right.
So started interacts from the address book of the engineering college that I had once been, and started speaking to them, and we found that that would have been extremely difficult at that point in time.
Right.
So we started working on putting together a helpline uh, where people can call in
Mm-hmm.
and
Helpline.
tell us
Okay.
about what their requirements are. Whether they need food, that is
Hmm.
cooked food, or do they need rations, dry
Hmm.
and medicine. Plan has
Right.
been operated after initial
Right.
15 odd days. We focus primarily Mumbai before we understand scaled up.
Yeah.
Close to 5,000 calls in the last 15 days. For 40% of them are duplicates because people the helpline are probably not familiar as to how IVF work. So they call, they listen to it for some time, disconnect, and then they come back again.
Hmm.
Out of this 5,000 calls, say about 3,000 calls are genuinely uh, uh, people. And once these calls capture the name of the person, we have a set of volunteers who are and trying to find. As of yesterday evening, we had 401 requests for rations for 3,244 people that had been recorded. And these we have identified as groups of or families of less than 7 people or more than 7 people. A total of 302 requests for 1,309 people, which is of group size of families of less than 7 people, and the rest are in the other category. Uh,
Right.
so, 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 and the interesting observation that has come in here
Yeah.
is that most of these people
Mm-hmm.
were holding steady job
Right.
till end March.
Mm-hmm. They had studied
They were
by
working
end
as
of March. Okay.
driver in
Mm-hmm.
Uber, or
Drivers. Right.
they were working as a salesman in
Mm-hmm. Salesman.
and I feel that uh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
people who feel mentally so where there is a so people who, like you and me, got up in the morning and put on their ties or makeup and went to work,
Right.
held steady jobs,
Yeah.
and now suddenly they are deprived of everything. And the helpline initially is like very easy to operate kind of
Okay. We've lost him. Yeah.
about 3 or 4 volunteers who were calling dropout saying we can't handle this pain
Pain.
of stories. So
Right.
that's all we are doing, and we are trying to convey Bilal Khan Foundation, everybody who are trying to uh, 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 go and reach out, help people. So
Right.
that is the entire gamut of
Right. That's wonderful. I think that's tremendous amount of work that's happening. From what I could gather, that guys have created helpline, and then you have volunteers doing tremendous amount of work. We had been losing you on and off, Raji, but I would request you, if possible, could you connect from another, maybe from a mobile phone? Then maybe you would get a better network. Is it possible? Because it's going off a lot.
I am on my mobile phone.
Okay.
I'm speaking from my mobile phone. My
Okay.
landline is almost done with for the day.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you shared that there was a lot of requests for rations and everything. So another difficulty for people even like me who had been trying to fundraise is difficulties. How do I go and it's been a long lockdown. How do I keep on going to the same people for asking for support, for connections, for there's a lot of money that is needed for ration and all of that. There's a lot of people that you can support, but then you are kind of there's a bottleneck and for everybody, right? So how do you address that issue?
See, fundraising is an issue at all times,
Mm.
even
Mm-hmm.
during the most happy times, like when CSR money is available.
Yeah.
Even at that point in time, fundraising is a problem.
Right.
During the first round of fundraising that we tried doing, fortunately, I had turned 60. So
Okay.
I got all my friends to contribute, saying, instead of coming in for the party or,
Right.
buying me a present, so
Yeah.
I armed twisted friends and family.
Right.
And we raised something like about 3.5, 4 lakhs.
Wow.
Okay. And you can't do this over and over again with the same set of people.
Mm.
So
Correct.
yes, we have now reached a stage where we don't know how we are going to institutionalize or find better ways of raising funds to
Mm-hmm.
help these people. Now, the charter that we have set out in the helpline, in the Need Help, Can Help helpline, is
Right.
that we, as an organization, are not going to be the help providers. We are only going to be the platform.
Okay.
But funnily, hearing all these stories,
Yeah.
we are tempted to do whatever we can.
Mm.
And so one of our volunteers is by name Chitra Subramanian. She has started a fundraiser,
Mm-hmm.
which will be used to provide help for the people who are asking for help on this platform.
Okay.
And there are others like Cash Relief, Rahul Nainwal of Cash Relief,
Mm-hmm.
who we are talking to, who will
Right.
do direct cash transfers to these accounts. Because one of the things that we try to capture during our interaction with the help seeker
Yeah.
is that if they have a Google Pay or a Paytm or a Phone Pay or some kind of an account,
Yeah.
which then can help in doing a direct cash transfer.
Right.
Yeah. So there the numbers are very interesting. We have about 290 people who have a GPay or a Paytm kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very easy if we are able to find somebody
Mm-hmm.
who says yes, they will take care of the funds for the cash transfer.
Mm-hmm.
We hand it over to Cash Relief.
Right.
Cash Relief does the transfers directly.
Right.
So our objective is to identify all these, help these people come to a platform where they can say, this is the help that I need.
Right.
And it is not just for COVID.
Right.
Human beings, being human beings,
Right.
we need help all the time.
Mm.
My son is studying somewhere out of town and he's not keeping too well, and I don't really have a local guardian there. And, if somebody could kind of go and say hi to him, that, that kind of thing. So basically a platform where people can come and put in their request, and based on proximity-based model,
Mm.
we find people nearby who's willing to help.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, further, I would like to question, as in, how do we use social media to connect and network? So, you talked about Rahul Nanwal and many other people who could, support with platforms and all. So, how do we use social media to escalate by networking?
I see you have to be very, very, very brutal about
Hmm.
tagging people.
Hmm.
You have to be brutal about asking for help because end of
Right.
the day,
Yeah.
like-minded people gravitate.
Yeah.
So a lot of people who are here know
Right.
that it's like Anshuman Boone said,
Of course.
there will be 5-7% people who will take undue advantage of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
But the other 90-95% people will actually get the help that they seek.
Right.
Right. So
Hmm.
so so when you're going out hammer and tongs with people, asking them to help you with networks, and
Yeah.
asking making friend requests for people who don't know you from Adam,
Right.
they kind of come together, and I
Right.
think crisis situations, make this easier because everybody is trying to do whatever little bit they can
Right.
and fight this huge wave that is hitting us from all sides.
Mm-hmm. Right. So true. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
With this, I'll go to Samina.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi,
Yeah,
Samina.
definitely.
Yeah. So my first
I
question. Hi. So my first question to you again is, what has been it for you? Like this crisis has been like, what were you doing previously, and what are you into right now?
okay. So, well, basically, I'm not into crisis management at all. This is something very new that we are doing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into education, and I have been driving right to education in the state of Uttar Pradesh for almost 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And almost 90% of our community we work with in under right to education. They are daily wagers, they are rickshawalas, thelawalas, they're laborers, migrant laborers. So this is the community that we have been working with for several years now across the state of Uttar Pradesh. And since I'm located in Lucknow, I have got a very strong community connect in Lucknow. I know the slums. I have people, parents we work with, and some the volunteers. And this was a season when our RT admissions were going on. We run a
Okay.
statewide helpline number, and anybody can drop a missed call on that helpline number. They can ask information, seek information about RTE. So on
Right.
March 22nd, when lockdown struck, it was actually the time for our RT admissions, and we had been receiving phone calls on our helpline. But after lockdown, we suddenly started getting tons and tons of phone calls, distress calls, basically from the same community that we are stuck here, we are
Wow.
stuck there, we don't have food, and it started coming in such large numbers that it brutal to tell them, we work only in education, this is not our area. We have been working with that community for so long. You have to take care of the community, and you have to build. If you're building trust with that community, you cannot just, pull your hands off and then say,
Right.
"This is not my area of expertise." Figure it out on your own.
Right.
When we saw that situation was really out of hand, was really difficult, and people were really struggling, we
Mm-hmm.
took it in our hands, and then we started pretty small.
Right.
We thought, okay, let's see what we can do. Because lockdown, and UP's lockdown is very strict. Lucknow is like even more strict. It's in a red zone area. We did
Yeah.
not know how to even venture out of the house. So somehow we managed to we reached out to the government. We had a very strong network with the government, and our relationship with the government was pretty strong already. And we
Mm-hmm.
thought this is the best time to leverage. When
Mm.
else are we going to use?
Right.
So we used our government, and we got permissions from the government to be able to distribute food. We bought some small amount of ration first, and then we went out to distribute. And when we saw a situation was like really grim, and we did not have any funding for this.
Mm-hmm.
But little bit whatever we did, I started a Milap crowdfunding campaign, and I started posting pictures of how we were going out and distributing ration. And uh, so on social media, I've been interacting with a couple of people. So Avishkar group, Vineet Rai, he was there on my social media group. We had not interacted much before, we don't even know each other.
Right.
But because of social media interaction, we got to know that I'm doing some work on ration distribution, and he is from UP, and he there was probably some emotional connect, and he was
Correct.
also going to announced some COVID relief fund from Avishkar, and they reached out to us, and that's how our first funding came from a
Wow.
corporate.
That's really
I
amazing.
mean,
That's a great breakthrough, I would say.
yeah, and for us, it was like the team, our team, we had no clue how to really go about it. Within 5 days, we figured out where to procure, what should be the kit, what should the kit look like, where are we going to procure it from, how are we going to manage the operations, how are we going to distribute. So everything had to be worked out. Within 5 days, we figured it out, and we tried different things. Some worked, some did not work. So it was like learning in the process. And during those stages, people generally don't invest in you, don't fund you. And I'm really, really thankful to Avishkar Group that even when they knew that this was not a regular work, this was something which we were figuring out new.
Right.
They trusted in us. They put their faith in us, and they funded. And that was a time when we were also we were learning, and then we figured out a very robust model of reaching out to people and how we can reach out. I mean, we had been preparing lists, we had been receiving calls, we had been mapping those people, we had been receiving lists, we had been coordinating with our volunteers in the local areas. Then we used to go with our truck with the food packets, and then how to maintaining social distancing, like physical distancing
Right.
on the distribution side has been like really, really challenging. Because the moment you start distributing one or two packets, and you might want to do it for say 100 people, but people around there are like 100 more, the 200 more who want
Correct.
it,
Yeah.
who might really want it, but then they flock the area. And
Right.
if they flock the area, then it's almost impossible to maintain physical distancing. At that point, we had to try that we had to partner with police. We had to take police along, and that's when we started taking police along, and they
Right.
helped a little bit in distance, physical distancing. But even then, it was a challenge. Then we started different models, and now our model is we identify a small bunch, like 25 people at a time, and identify our volunteer. The volunteer we have been working with for several years, so we have trust in that person. We deliver 25 packets to that volunteer on one day, and that volunteer, say late in the night, so early in the morning when the rush is less, he calls or she calls those 25 people in 15 minutes gap, and then distribute those ration packets. So this,
Wow.
in a way, helps maintain physical distancing. We don't have to work too much. It's much easier for us. We just have to go and deliver at that
Right.
place. And then we number all the ration packets. So we are giving 25 in number of 25, and the volunteer is required to take pictures with the 25 ration packets to the person she is giving it to. So we know for sure that the packet
It
has
has
gone to the
been.
beneficiary, intended beneficiary. We
Right.
collect all the phone numbers, then our helpline team calls those people, all the recipients of ration kits, and collect some basic information. So we're also conducting a survey. So how many people in their families, what they did, how they're impacted because of COVID, what do they know about COVID. We also try to give them more information about COVID. So
Right.
that's the helpline team that does. And we've also
Right.
developed a report on that. So like how many, thus far, we have reached out to 3,000 families.
Right.
6% per family is the average that we have. So 18,000 people, you can say. So almost
Wow.
5 lakh meals we have distributed this far. Yeah.
Wow. So, if everybody else wants to replicate the whole thing, what you're doing, my question to you is, what do you prefer? Is it better to distribute a cooked food or, dry ration? Like, you know?
Yeah. I think,
So,
in
what do
my
you?
opinion, distributing dry ration makes more sense
Mm-hmm.
than cooked food. The problem with cooked food is you have to distribute it quickly within a limited time.
Mm,
Otherwise, it gets bad.
mm,
And if it's not eatable and something happens to someone, then you are accountable for that, right? So you want to make sure, you want to be really, really careful. So cooked food is useful for the people who are homeless. They don't have any arrangement for cooking food.
right.
But in this crisis, people are not really homeless. They have a home, they have cooking arrangements, they just don't have ration. They
Right.
don't have food. So to those families, it makes sense to give them dry ration. They can cook. Even if they don't have all the arrangements, they can. I've seen many migrant laborers. They just put some bricks in the form of a chulha, and they
Right.
use
Yeah.
dry sticks and and kerosene to burn that chulha, and then they cook food on that.
Yeah.
They prefer to cook food rather than accept cooked food, because many times it is stale and it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
But for the people who are homeless, they're lying on the road, and if there's something urgent, then cooked food distribution is better. So government
Right.
is already running an emergency 112 number, and they have a community kitchen which is run by Akshay Patra. So Akshay
Right.
Patra has already been providing cooked food. So we thought somebody is doing the cooked food part, let us do the dry ration part. And dry ration we give for 15 to 20 days. So
Right.
enough ration. And it's a complete nutritious ration. You have rice, atta, dal, chana dal.
Right.
Then you have sugar, oil, potato, onion, masala, everything. So it's complete. Even oil. We also give oil. So it's a complete kit. You give it to a family. That family can use that ration kit to sustain itself for at least 15 days. So
Right.
that helps in a long run. And for food, is like it's just a one-time food. You have to keep coming back and distribute food.
Right. So another question to me to you is, you're part of the social sector. You already have connects with the government, with the police, and everything. But suppose some individual wants to do it by themselves right now, never had any social sector background. So how do one
Mm-hmm.
reach out to police? Because what is happening is रेड जोन एरिया है जहाँ पे आपको एक सड़क जो चौराहे से बाहर भी निकलने नहीं दे रहे हैं. तो वो मुश्किल है कि आप
Yeah.
ट्रैवल करके आगे कैसे जाएँ? या किस तरीके से पुलिस से कनेक्ट करें या गवर्नमेंट का कोई हेल्प, आई मीन हाउ डू वी डू दैट? डू यू हैव एनी इनसाइट?
It's a challenge. It's a challenge.
हुँ,
Not everyone would be able to do it because in Lucknow, I've seen in UP in several districts, many NGOs they lost their permits because
हुँ,
there were instances where the NGOs were distributing food or some individuals were distributing food and people flocked to that area and physical distancing norms were flouted and government asked them to stop. Their permissions were cancelled. So
करेक्ट.
it's a risky thing. It's not so easy. Not everyone. I think if you're not confident about how to really go about it, you can't really figure out, and you don't have enough, ways to handle situation with the government, then it can be a little risky. In that case, I would suggest that you maybe connect and partner with an organization which has all the permits. So, like
राइट.
we had permits, there were many other organizations, NGOs, which did not have permit. They partnered with us. They told us that we have our people, we want to get it distributed in these localities. These are
राइट.
children we work
हुँ,
with or the family we work with, but we do not have permit to directly go. But we
राइट.
can work with you as volunteers. If you are going, if your team is going, then we can join you and help you with our volunteers. And that helps because you need large number of volunteers when you're on the field.
करेक्ट.
If you have to maintain social distancing and you have to distribute, and there are so many packets, you have to manage a lot of things. So you need large number of volunteers. So they help you with volunteers. If they have to do it independently, it is risky for them because they might lose whatever. If they have permits, they might lose their permits. If they don't have permits, in crossing red zone areas without proper secure.
राइट. Samina, we lost you.
Hi, Rashmi, are you there?
Yes. Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell us about the bus drive, the latest.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So when we were coming back on a highway after distributing food in a very far off location. So
Mm,
what we are doing differently from many other organizations or maybe government
mm,
is that we know the localities pretty well. We know our slums, our communities very well, and we know the pockets, all those remote pockets where there's a real need and nobody has been able to reach. So in fact, government reached out to us and they partnered with us. They said, we have been distributing food only on the roadsides. People who are more on the inside, the interior people. So
mm,
you let us know wherever you need help. We will, we'll also support you. And thank you so much for doing this job. So
mm.
it's like, government was also complimenting us for the work we had been doing. So we
Right.
had been distributing ration in a very remote location. And I was coming back, I was driving on a road, on a highway.
Yeah.
And I saw a bunch of, almost some 40, 50 migrant laborers with their families, little children, women, and a lot of luggage. They had come from Jabalpur, MP, and they had come walking.
Yeah.
And they had to go to a district like Barabanki, which is in a village in Barabanki, which was 80 kilometers away. It's the heat of May. It's like really hot.
Yeah.
I was really amazed by the empathy and the compassion of so many passerbys. Many people came by. They offered food and water. So there was no dearth of food and water for them.
Okay.
So they
That's
were
heartening
provided.
to
Yeah,
know.
they were provided food and water. Yeah, that was pretty good actually. Even police constables, they were providing food and water. I have not seen police is there on the field. They are seeing these people day in and day out, every
Mm,
moment. But bureaucrats, officers, they're sitting in their offices. They don't really know the reality. They haven't met them face to face. But
right.
police, is seeing them every day. Police is also watching, news channels, and they're also reading social media posts. They're reading about the plight of migrant laborers. Then they're seeing them right in front. But then they're also human beings, and they have been extremely compassionate. It was really heartening to see so many police constables actually arranging food and water for these migrants when there was no even order for them to do that, no instructions for them to do that. They arranged food and water, but the arranging bus was a difficult challenge. Like, how do you arrange buses?
Right.
I knew the director of the transport department, so I called him up. I called the commissioner office. I called all the top level officers I could, and then try to arrange it. And what I heard, but listen to me. What I heard back was, you have to provide XYZ. You have to get a letter signed from the SDM, and get a letter also signed from the district of origin and the district of destination, and blah blah blah, and then only we will be able to provide a bus.
Wow.
And I thought that with all my connections and all my resources, I will take 2 days to be able to produce those letters.
Right.
How about these illiterate people? They can never understand. They won't even know what is required, and they won't even have the patience. They did not have the patience. Like, madam, 1 घंटे के अंदर गाड़ी आ जाएगा तो ठीक है, otherwise हम पैदल चल देंगे. And I was so worried that I did not want them to start walking again. And when I heard this from the officials, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God. I mean, what is the process? This is a sheer failure of governance. I mean, it's not working out. And then I saw these police constables. I was talking to them. They said, Madam, ऊपर से तो कुछ नहीं आ रहा है. Then what we are doing, we are just looking at these state buses which are returning empty. We just stop them and we give them list of these migrants. We give a stamp, and then we board all these people in those buses and ask them to drop them at their district, whatever respective districts.
Wow.
So this is what we have been doing, and in 6 hours we have already deported almost 2,000 to 3,000 migrants by now. Wow. And I was really amazed that these constables are able to do something these big shot officers are not able to do. And I called them back and I showed them, look, we have already boarded them. अभी आप सोच ही रहे हो वहाँ पे board भी करा दिया हमने.
That's
and
learning.
I said, this is the process. That's a learning. And then I told them, this is something which you can do. And they were also very surprised. And I was like, we did not think about it. And this makes a lot of sense. So all, my appreciation and, this praise for those constables. Even I was not the one who came up with this idea. It was the constables who had come up with this idea. I played the role of communicating it with the right authorities, pursuing with them, following up with them, suggesting a solution in a structured, actionable manner to them, which I knew could be converted into a government order.
Right.
And some officers who had been, part of the CM office and the transport department, I knew those officers pretty well, and I knew they were very, they were star kind of an officers. Within 24 hours, government order was issued. So, in fact, just now while I was talking to you, I received message from that officer from transport department that with the pictures and everything, we have deported these many thousand migrant laborers today from these locations. Mm-hmm. And after this call, I will be posting them on social media so you can see those pictures sent by government themselves. So 30,000 were deported from Lucknow itself in one day. So things are happening, things are moving.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Can I speak?
Yes. Hello. Prakhar?
Hello.
Yes, Prakhar.
My name is.
Yeah. Hi.
मैं ये कह रहा हूँ हाँ हेलो हम ये चीज देख रहे हैं कि ये मतलब 1947 के बाद सबसे बड़ा फिनोमिना और सिनेरियो है इंडिया के सामने माइग्रेंट्स लेबर का मूवमेंट. ठीक है. पहली बात तो ये है कि महाराष्ट्र से चलते हुए 16 लोगों का ट्रेन से मरना अपने आप में सबसे बड़ी दुखद बड़ी बात है. और दूसरी बात ये है कि अभी भी महाराष्ट्र से मध्य प्रदेश से बिहार से पश्चिम बंगाल से जितना हिंदी पट्टी के राज्य हैं उनमें पलायन सबसे बड़ी समस्या है. सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि हमने मतलब 70 सालों में हमने 91-93 में हमने ग्लोबलाइजेशन को अडॉप्ट किया. उसके बाद हमने जिस तरीके की चीजें खड़ी करी हैं, मैं अपना 5 मिनट में बात खत्म करूंगा, मैं ज्यादा टाइम नहीं लूंगा. हमने जिस चीजें खड़ी करी हैं, हमने उन चीजों पे हमने कभी ध्यान नहीं दिया कि 93, 94, 95 के बाद हम आज 2020 में बैठे हैं. और जिस तरीके की
सवाल क्या है?
सवाल मैं करूंगा. हमने जिस तरीके की पॉलिसीज अडॉप्ट की है, वो पॉलिसीज हमारी ह्यूमन बेस्ड पॉलिसीज नहीं है. वो हमारी एम्प्लॉयमेंट को उन्होंने तरीके से तबाह कर दिया है। वही वही गांव में जब बंदा जाएगा तो उसके सामने अनएम्प्लॉयमेंट का एक बहुत बड़ी समस्या है। गवर्नमेंट ने पैकेज डिक्लेयर कर दिया है,
राइट। तो
यार
ये
होने के
सारे
बाद वो
स्टेटमेंट है प्रखर। तो आपका सवाल राज किससे है? समीना से है,
मेरा
राज से है?
मेरा सवाल सीधा सीधा ये है कि जिस तरह इतना बड़ा पलायन देख रहे हैं,
हाँ
सबने अपने स्तर पे कह दिया कि आप ट्रेन चला लीजिए, बस चला लीजिए, क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ के जो पॉलिटिकल कंसेंसस है,
हाँ
एक्सेप्टेंस है, वो बहुत देर तक नहीं होती है। उसकी वजह से जो हमारे मजदूर है उसमें चाहे औरैया का हो, चाहे बाराबंकी में कुछ हुआ हो, लखनऊ में कुछ हुआ हो, कानपुर में कुछ हुआ हो, इटावा में कुछ हुआ है,
हाँ
या
हाँ
औरंगाबाद में हुआ है, ये सब चीजें दिखाती हैं कि हमारे यहाँ पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम इस तरीके से काम करता है, जो चीजों को नजरअंदाज करते हुए बस
राइट
घोषणाएं करता है, और उसके
जी
धरातल पे जो काम होना चाहिए
जी
वो
वो
नहीं
है
होता है।
प्रखर। हम
इसकी वजह
हाँ
आम आदमी है, और
हाँ
हम और वो लोग
प्रखर
चैनल्स वाले कहते हैं पॉलिटिक्स 2 मिनट्स, तो
आपकी आवाज भी बहुत कट
उन्हें
रही
कुछ
है।
शौक आ रहा है, आर एंजॉयिंग, दे आर गोइंग विद उनके उनके
आप
स्लीपर्स।
आपकी आवाज बहुत कट रही है। आप एक काम करें प्रखर, आप अपना क्वेश्चन टाइप कर दें, बिकॉज आपकी आवाज बहुत ज्यादा कट रही है। इन द मेन टाइम समीना, एक क्वेश्चन आपसे था कि आप क्या सजेस्ट करेंगे हम सोशल मीडिया को किस तरीके से यूटिलाइज करें, बिकॉज इट कैन बी अ लीथल वेपन इन टुडेज टाइम, so to say.
I think, yeah. So, in fact, while I'm talking to you, I'm also receiving lots of messages regarding कि कोई बस वहाँ stuck है, कोई वहाँ stuck है, and I have to coordinate, the permissions and everything. वो
Right.
करवा रही हूँ. So maybe I'll just finish in 5 minutes,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'll just add my part, and then I'll be off. Social media, in fact, social media has played a very big role in enabling us in doing what we are doing.
right.
तो सोशल मीडिया के थ्रू व्हेन वी वर एबल टू एटलीस्ट शोकेस कि कहाँ पे क्या सिचुएशन है, क्या प्रॉब्लम है, और उसको कैसे सॉल्व करना है, लाइक द माइग्रेंट वाला प्रॉब्लम, राइट? I immediately posted on social media that there are migrants and I have to arrange buses. What should I do? And some officer somewhere read that message and then called me, and we start interacting, and then वो जियो भी निकल गया. I posted on social media and there are so many shares. People have come to know. वो
Right.
कई लोगों तक पहुंच गया. People have information now. So many places where, and we are also taking that geo copy and distributing in many places. So wherever people don't know, we are providing them information, and social media helps in disseminating information. तो वो आपको हेल्प करता है फिर, एंड योर वर्क बिकम्स विजिबल, एंड कहाँ पे किसने पढ़ा, किसको वो चीज समझ में आई. तो सिमिलरली लाइक बाराबंकी, आई हैड पोस्टेड अबाउट बाराबंकी कि उन माइग्रेंट्स को बाराबंकी जाना था. I had a friend, IS officer friend on my social media friend list. She read that and she messaged me separately that, what, my husband is DM of Barabanki, and if you need any help, just this is the number, call him, and he will coordinate. So things happen like that. Otherwise, I will not think. मुझे नहीं समझ आएगा कि मुझे immediately क्या help चाहिए. If I just post on social media and the kind of diverse network you have,
Right.
And people share it, the right person gets attracted towards the right cause.
Right.
That happens. And even geo karne ke liye bhi, all the officers who had coordinated, who had helped, they were all on my social media
Right.
network list.
Right.
And when these things are available, then like Venkat is coordinating massive level pay, he's coordinating across pan India how to coordinate migrant laborers. So because of social media, I got connected. I knew that Aurangabad mein Natasha is coordinating it, and लखनऊ में मैं कर रही हूँ, तो किसी को भी इधर मुंबई या महाराष्ट्र से someone has to come to UP, then I can help here. We can coordinate with each other. So coordination helps, visibility helps, and many times help comes which you had not even imagined and which you had not even thought ये possible भी हो सकता है. Something like that. So I think even for food distribution, Avishkar ke saath mein we got the partnership and we got some initial money funding. We did not even know them. They got to know about us through social media. And that's how they funded us for feeding. And from Avishkar, एक ने fund किया, हमने और हमारा काम visible हुआ. Another corporate came forward and they funded. फिर और visible हुआ, another corporate came forward and they funded. So that's how it expanded. So
Right.
this is the role which I think social media plays. It's a tool, you can use it either way, good or bad.
Yeah, so the question from Vipula, she says if CSR has helped, feed the migrants.
Yeah, I want to know if CSR division units of business done anything for feeding migrant laborers. So CSR basically, yeah, they fund organizations like us in feeding migrants. So I have whatever money I've received for feeding migrants are CSR money
Right.
only. So
Right.
that's how, yeah.
एक क्वेश्चन और था सबीना मेरा कि आपको क्या लगता है लॉकडाउन खत्म होने के बाद भी हमारे पास भी बहुत ज्यादा काम बचा हुआ है? Can you
Yes,
foresee
yes.
that? Foresee that?
Oh,
Because
yes, of course, because everything has got come to a standstill, and it's already been 2 months. So even if lockdown will not be lifted in one go, so UP में अभी central ने 31st तक कर दिया, and different states and different zones will do it even slowly. So I don't see lockdown getting entirely lifted from at least Lucknow and UP till June or July. It's gonna take so much time, and then even if it gets completely lifted, the virus is going to stay. So there will be some constraints. I don't think we're going to be completely away from those constraints
right.
in few months' time. It's going to take time. And people who have lost their job, their livelihood, the industry which have lost so much, MSMEs which have literally are on the brink of closing down, for them to come back, yeah, for them to come back on their feet, it's going to be taking time. काफी time लगेगा. और जो people who were involved, who were already working with them, उनको कहाँ से नौकरी रातों रात नहीं मिलेगी. जो ठेले चलाते थे एकदम से ठेले चलाना नहीं शुरू हो जाएंगे. And essential goods तो ठीक है. I know friends who are into essential goods business, they are making tons of money. But people who are not into essential goods, their luxury items and all, and that those kind of businesses will take a lot of time to come back to come back to the form where it is sustainable.
Right.
So and not everything is essential, and it's like the lockdown has taught us what is essential, what is not.
Right.
So
True that.
it's still